Hello and welcome to Whispers in the Darkness, the paranormal podcast from the Out There Paranormal Group. And whispering for you today, we have myself, Nigel, and
myself, Juliette.
Got something a little bit different for you this time. We've actually got a special guest, a guest, like a real person, and not us.
Yeah,
rambling.
not a pretend person.
Not a pretend person. She is actually a real person. What can we tell you about this real person that we're now going to throw into the lion's den, so to speak?
She writes some amazing things.
She does write some amazing things. Author, podcaster, paranormal investigator, incredible researcher.
Strong mother.
All-round wonderful person. And we're going to play her intro theme and then we'll introduce her to you. Okay, so here we go. Unfortunately, we're not able to play the theme tune that we wanted to play. It would have been Highway to Hell by AC/DC, but YouTube won't let us put the video up with the music on it because of copyright rules. So just think of the tune because it's one of Penny's favourites. Thank you.
We were just boogieing along to that.
You were indeed. Oh no, I did it again.
What's he doing? Just can't get the staff, can you?
Oh, for God's sake. I tried to be clever and it goes horribly wrong. Can you still hear us? Well, we can't hear you.
Because I was keeping
Penny.
quiet.
Oh.
Tricking us.
You fooled us there, didn't you?
Well, I was,
Anyway,
I was waiting for the intro to say, and Penny, welcome, because otherwise you get your guest talking in the background.
I know, and I messed it up completely, didn't I? Like I said.
It makes it real. Makes it real. What can I say?
I know. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, this is Penny Griffiths-Morgan. So, hi, Penny, and thank you very much for letting us interrogate you on our podcast.
Interview you. God help you, poor lady.
Experiment, I think, is the word you're looking for.
I think it is an
Experiment,
experiment, yeah. But it's a good experiment, yeah. So, where shall we start? Okay. We're not going to, ask you loads of really ridiculous random questions. We're just going to try and get a conversation going by sort of throwing some stuff at you. First of all, just to get the sort of...
Little teaser question.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's have a little teaser.
What can we ask? No one have these sort of meetings when you go to a meeting at work and they say, let's have some icebreakers.
Right, I've got one.
Have you?
Yeah,
go
ready?
On, then.
Okay, so here we go, Penny. First question.
Yeah.
Tell us one thing about you that nobody would believe.
I failed history A level.
No.
Really?
No.
You didn't mention the history word in my little intro, did you?
I didn't.
No.
Because I should have said the Queen of History and Mystery, shouldn't I? Because that's not what you are.
The paranormal historian. Yeah, I failed history A level. There you go.
Did you retake it?
Nope. I'm
That just shows about qualifications,
Yeah.
doesn't it? Because they only mean so much, don't they?
Exactly.
And you can be an intellectual and you can be intelligent without having all these certificates and string of words after your name.
I didn't want to be at sixth form. I didn't do as well as I could have done. At the time, I wanted to be a musician, and that was all I wanted to be. And I didn't really try. And plus, I found history. If it had been taught the way I teach people history,
yes,
it would have been interesting.
Yeah,
but literally, I used to fall asleep in class.
It's a shame, isn't it? Because school can change your perception.
It can make a massive difference.
So much. And I have this conversation with my children because, my eldest is, history, And it is, as you say, it's down to how it's taught.
Yeah.
And if it's taught well, it can be fascinating and amazing. And there's so much to our tiny planet and so many different places to go to and visit and see and write about.
Yeah.
Tell us, Penny, tell us what you've been writing about recently. What have you been doing recently?
Well, what I was going to say is I was going to agree with you on the teaching aspect because the teacher who got me into it was actually my GCSE O-level teacher. And he had such an energy about him. He was the one that got me into it. And I would frequently stay behind after class to chat to him further about some of the subjects we were doing. And funnily enough, he turned around to my mum and said, Penny's making a mistake doing history A-level. She will hate it. She will fail it. A degree, she'll do really well at.
Yeah.
But she'll fail history A-level. And he was spot on. Now, he passed away. He was only in his late 40s. He had, I think he had a heart attack on the rugby pitch.
Oh, gosh.
It's one of the only teachers' funerals I've ever actually gone to. And and that was one of my first really weird paranormal experiences after that funeral, by the way, but you might want to come back to that. But yes, so it's down to the teachers. I mean, I've had children who are doing, friends' kids who are doing World War II, and they'll say, oh, Penny, can you ever chat with them for their project? And after 2 hours of conversation, they're going, can I talk to you again? So it's the energy you bring to it, and it's the way you teach it. And I've gone into my son's primary school and done sort of a few talks for them. I did a World War II one in Chelmsford. I've done a World War I one for them. I've done a Henry VIII, because he used to have a palace in Chelmsford. And I get most of them asking me questions after I've finished and getting an interest. So it is the energy that you bring.
It's so true. That's
what
so
you're
true.
doing.
It is,
You must make history alive. And I know that sounds, I mean, when I'm reading books like this, which don't exactly look interesting, because I need to get the background so that I can, put the defibs on it to bring it to life when I'm talking about it. So yes, you do have to read the background, but when you want to bring it to life for people who aren't researching it, for example, who just want to learn, it's not just a case of reciting facts and figures and acts and everything.
No.
You've got to show how you've got to make it feel like it's happening to them and now, so they can put themselves in that position. So that's kind of what I wanted to say about history. But to answer your question, what I'm working on at the moment, I'm finishing up my next book. It's going to be called The Battle for Bosworth.
Fabulous. And when's that due out?
Well, it's coming out in conjunction with the Festival of the Unexplained event in March. It'll be coming out in conjunction. It'll be coming out in conjunction for that, because I was going to write one on it anyway, but it wasn't going to be the one I was going to do this year. I was actually going to do workhouses this year. But when I was asked to be one of the speakers at the festival, I thought, well, I've planned to do a Bosworth Hall one. Might as well. And so that one should be coming out, well, nearly finished. I'm doing an investigation with the guys from the Haunted Live investigation on Halloween. And that will be my last investigation at the hall. And then everything else is more or less written up. It's just a few more thousand words. And then off for editing.
Brilliant.
Fabulous. So, I mean, obviously, you're well known for history and mystery. So, I mean, that is obviously the perfect tagline for what you do.
Thank you.
So, I mean, what made you actually go down that specific route? What was your reasoning behind that?
Am I allowed to swear in this?
Yeah, you can swear.
Yeah.
We don't mind.
Okay, it's not major swearing. I was getting so thoroughly pissed off with people making out that things were real when they weren't.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And I became sort of friendly with people like Mike Cavell up in Hull, who does a similar thing up there. And I just thought, wouldn't it be good if I could start correcting some of these and actually showing people that, fact is stranger than fiction.
Yeah.
And
It is indeed. Yeah.
you don't have to make stuff up about these places. All right, and also understanding that just because a medium picked up on something, and I've got the greatest of respects for mediums. I know some very, very good ones whose opinions I hold incredibly high.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it's directly related to that place.
That's true.
And the more I've done it, the more I've grown to love the researching, the more I've grown to love putting the jigsaw puzzle together, the more I've grown to love... I don't enjoy upsetting people when they say, oh, this person was murdered here. Well, if they were murdered there in 1837, there's absolutely no trace of it anywhere. There's not even a death record of someone dying in there in 1837. And you see their faces sort of drop.
But it's true, Penny, isn't it?
But, and I'm saying, look, the media might have picked that up. It could have been someone you've brought in from somewhere else.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily have to be synonymous with this location. And then sort of, so that's why and it was Richard Clements, who owned Parasearch Radio at the time. He sort of said to me, I was on an investigation with, I think they were called Trident at the time. It was I used to sort of help out with. And I was doing a bit to camera. It was at Rougham Airfield, and I was doing a just jokingly Facebook Live thing, and it was Richard who said, God, you're good on camera. I said, well, I've been doing presenting my day job for like 20 odd years. It's nothing new for me. I'm quite used to doing it. And that's when he said, would you like your own show? And that was about 4.5 years ago. And it's sort of just gone from strength to strength. It seems to have appealed to people a lot, which I'm thoroughly grateful for. But that's how it started.
It's like a breath of fresh air, isn't it? You know, combining history as well as the paranormal and getting the facts out there, because any decent investigator, the reason why we do this is to get the facts out there. That's what it's all about. You know, doing your research, isn't it? Doing your investigations, doing the history. I mean, I obviously don't do the research prior to an investigation because I'm not allowed.
Yeah, because we don't give you any information because that would jeopardise because Juliette being psychic, if I give her stuff, then she's going to spout it out on the night.
Yeah, I can't.
And what I found out could well be wrong. As you know, Penny, sometimes you can go completely down the wrong route. We were doing something on your group the other day with that lady who showed that picture of an RAF guy, and he got 1941 written on. She said he died in Crete. I immediately assumed he died in the operation to take Crete, the German airborne. But you dug up in record time, I have to say. I was incredibly impressed with that. Your research was like straight in. Actually, he died in 43. Yeah. He was a bomber pilot from a Liberator flying out of North Africa.
Fascinating.
Just small pieces of information like that. We had a picture of his headstone, found out he was a military cross with distinguished flying cross.
You saw that bit. I gave you credit. I didn't spot that.
The medal, yeah.
But I spotted a name there was a tiny piece of paper at the bottom of the picture, and when I enlarged it, there was a name in there, and she'd told me his nickname was like Ronnie or Reggie. Or
something like that, wasn't it?
And it was like whichever one it was the full name version of that. And I thought, I wonder if that's him. So I googled him. He had one. Was it a Victoria? No, a distinguished flying DFC.
Distinguished flying cross, yeah.
And this guy had won a DFC, was a pilot, and I thought it's got to be him. And that's when I said, was his name this? Yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, it's you do sometimes go down the wrong route, but you just like cross-reference things. Yeah. I get things wrong, but I'm kind of, I don't like getting the facts wrong. I will triple check them. I will nearly always go for primary source material if I can. Or if it's a newspaper report that's been published, I will stress this is a newspaper report from 18 whatever. I can't confirm this because the incidents happened in 1740 and there's no records, but this is a newspaper report, and it's interesting what it then sort of shows you. But yeah, it's the research side, and then it's putting but it's also having sort of some background knowledge of what would have been going on. And like you picked up on the Battle of Crete, I didn't automatically think that when I saw 1941. That wasn't the first thing that came to my mind, but I figured if he's buried in Crete, something it's some incident that's got to have happened near to those war graves for him to be buried there. Yeah. But it's just about putting the pieces together and having fun whilst you're doing it, really. But really my goal, which I've started to achieve in the last 12 months, is to bring the history and the paranormal fields together. Because I think they're intrinsically linked.
Absolutely agree.
Now, my goal, excuse me, is for the historians to realise that people in the paranormal aren't all woo-woo, and for people in the paranormal to realise historians aren't all boring, dull people who go around with tweed jackets with leather patches on their elbows. And to realise that we can learn from each other. And, you know, I'm not saying all historians embrace that, but, you know, I've had James Holland on my show, you know, the James Holland. I'm actually on I know this won't be going out today, but tomorrow, from the Saturday after we're recording this, I'm actually in London as a guest on a unknown war or little known war memorials tour with a historian called Alexandra Churchill, who's a friend of mine. You know, and I'm getting to know all these brilliant historians who are actually like treating me as though I'm not a freak, shall we say. Yeah. And that's what I want. I want them to turn around and say, so what would you do how would you check whether this was paranormal or not? I want them to ask those questions, because then I can show them what they see on telly. That's entertainment.
Absolutely right.
When we're looking into something, I think I said this to Lorien when I did, Lorien from the Ghost Book, when I did my podcast with her this week. What nobody sees when I do writing, when you do a video, is the hours and hours of debunking you do, because nobody wants to see that.
No.
Yeah, they want to see what you've found and what you've assessed it to be. They don't want to see the fact that. But sometimes I do mention it, and I mean, one of the ones that I give my husband credit because he's done he's done 3 investigations now, and we were at Tibenham, RAF Tibenham, and I couldn't work out why the K2s kept going off, but nothing else was work. And it was him it was actually Mark Dudley was there and Gaynor Clark, and you know Mark Dudley, and it was Wayne who said, there's a Wi-Fi unit up there. Could that be affecting the K2? I'd not even seen it.
Yeah.
I'd not seen this. But because he was coming in with fresh eyes and he wasn't sort of, not jaded, but you know what I mean? It was all still new to him. And then when we were picking stuff up on the spirit box out on the runway and he was going, is this a 2-way radio? No, it's 1 way. So why have we gone from an English voice inside, all of a sudden we've got an American voice and he's giving us answers to our questions? And so, you know, that kind of thing, and some of the things that we were looking up the next day, sort of, I was showing him how the spirit box worked. It's that's what people don't see. They don't see the questioning, and you know, you get the very sort of, I can't stand the people go, no, don't use equipment, none of it works. Well, you don't know that. We don't know if it works, we don't know if it doesn't work. So you might not like the SLS camera, but I've had quite a lot of good fun with it before.
Yeah, exactly.
You just don't take things in isolation. Is how I
important to be open as well, isn't it?
And that's the argument I've had with a lot of full-on skeptics. That not the skeptics that question things like your Kieran O'Keefe's, but the full-on it doesn't exist. What, the paranormal doesn't exist? Ghosts don't exist. We're talking ghosts.
Yeah.
Paranormal's different.
Yes.
And then when you start sort of splitting the hairs with them, and they're like, okay, you've got me there.
I hadn't thought about that. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's where I like pulling people saying, I'm not saying it's a ghost. I'm saying it's paranormal. And then they're like, yeah, but that means ghosts. Look it up. Look up what the word means.
Exactly.
And then come back to me and argue with me. And that's when they back off normally.
Just because people see it on Facebook, we're like mad groups going out doing lives every night, shouting at them, I can see a ghost. They don't sort of associate the fact that not every single paranormal group is like that. Not every single person interested in paranormal is like that. No. Quite a few of us here are actually sort of seriously interested in, okay, so that happened. So why did that happen? So let's have a look through the history of it and find out. It is a case of trying to research what you found. Don't just throw your evidence on Facebook and say, that's what I've got, run away and leave it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, have a look at it and think, well, okay, right, why was that there? You know, that's really odd. Why would that be there? Let me have a look. Go through the records, see what you can find. To us, I think, the same as you, that's the interesting part of it, to seeing what stories you can find. And like you said, the truth can be stranger than fiction. Some of the amazing things that you find out.
I mean, when you like see the worst horror film you can imagine, I guarantee I can find you something in history that trumps it. Yeah. You know, and that's real. You know, real stuff.
Yeah.
I was thinking, I don't know why he came to mind, but Vlad the Impaler. Everyone goes on about him being a horrible, horrible person, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, not when you read what happened to him and why he was the way he was. Yeah. You know, the fact that his first wife killed herself because she was worried about the soldiers were going to rape her and murder her, you know, and assault her and everything else. That was not good for him. And,
it
you know,
something to you, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, another one that I've looked into before was Countess Bathory. And everyone's saying she was a killer. I don't think she was. I actually don't. I don't think she intentionally murdered all those people. I think she was... No. I think she was a very powerful woman who wasn't being allowed to be powerful, if that makes sense. You know, she was... She had a lot of land and a lot of clout, and nearby landowners didn't like it.
No.
Now, yes, some of the methods of punishment she gave to the serving staff was, we look at it in sort of modern eyes going, holy crap. But when you look at the time, none of it was that out of order. I mean, it's horrendous, but it wasn't out of order. Plus, when everyone says she wore red... because, and it's a while ago I looked into her, but when everyone said she wore red because she was bloodthirsty, well, red was actually the colour of mourning. And her husband had died.
Yeah.
So the facts speak for themselves.
I think so, but you can, I mean, it's like with statistics. Sometimes you can make facts work whichever way you want. And there's people who will always say Countess Pathori was one of the worst serial killers ever. Maybe she was. Maybe she did drink the blood of virgins. I don't know. But if she did, why didn't they execute her? Why did they just brick her up in her own castle?
Yeah.
A lot of unanswered questions. So, I mean,
that's what I love about this. It's just, and I do love putting the cat among the pigeons sometimes and saying to people, but what about this? How does this fit in? Did you know this? And with the older history, that's quite hard to do because there's not so many facts about. But I do quite enjoy sort of making people question what they think, because I like to be questioned. Well, I do and I don't.
I think in this field, I think it's very important to question. I really do think so, you know, within the paranormal field as such. So tell us what actually, I mean, you've got a very keen interest in the paranormal. What got you into investigating in the beginning?
The Tennessee Wraith chasers.
Really?
Really?
This is a true story. And when I first started podcasting, I said my goal would be to get one of them on my show. I know them all now.
Well, I
So,
know that.
Interesting.
yeah, I wouldn't go as far as say they're friends, if that makes sense, but they're acquaintances who I know them well enough to drop one a message, and you know, they're going to be at the event in March.
Yeah.
Or three of them. Yeah, so you got, because they kind of split slightly. So you got Mike's going to be there, Chris, and Chris's brother Branham. So yeah, I was. I've always believed in it. Always had an interest in it. Didn't know you could do investigations, if I'm completely honest. And then it would have been about 7.5, 8 years ago. I was doing a night feed with my youngest son. About 2:00 in the morning. He's still in the bedroom with us. So I'd taken him downstairs because he just wouldn't settle. Husband had to get up for work. You know what it's like. And I'm just going through TV channels as he's like, I'm feeding really slowly, and I'm just going through TV channels, trying to find some background noise to it. And I stumbled across this ghost hunting program, and I was watching it going, I can't understand a ruddy word they're saying. But it started to interest me, and so I set a sort of a series link to record a few, and it was Ghost Asylum with the Tennessee Wraith chasers.
Right,
And I saw these gadgets they were using and saw they were doing it, and I thought, I want a bit of that. And literally about a week later, I googled groups that wanted trainee investigators, and that's how it started.
Wow.
So it's their fault.
It's really interesting.
And I've told them it's their fault, and they know it's their fault.
So, I mean, you do your investigations, and you also do a heck of a lot of writing as well. You're a very busy bee.
Yeah.
So you've written about a lot of different historic places and things like that. Do you have a particular favourite that you've written about, and why would that one be your favourite?
That would be like asking me to pick my favourite child.
Go on.
It's difficult, isn't it? There must be. Is there a couple that you could just say, I love this because, or...
Well, I loved when I did RAF Tibenham, and I'm not saying that because you guys are the airfield guys. I loved it when I did RAF Tibenham for a haunted experiment, because I've wanted to investigate. Ever since I was little, I thought something was going on there. So to get the chance to do it, it was almost a dream come true. And the fact that, you know, that it didn't upset, and then to have pilots from there who I've known literally since I was small coming to me with their own stories of things that have happened to them, and I would never have guessed.
Amazing.
That was quite awesome. And you know, also my dad I think he found a new level of respect, because what we experienced on the spirit box that night, I think Wayne had told him about. He went off and checked the flight logs and found this pilot's details, that he'd given us his name, his aircraft, the lot. And even my dad was a bit like, brilliant. How did you get this? How did you know this?
Yeah.
So that one, it's got a place in my heart, because I've been going there since I was 4 years old. So, you know, 20 years. That was meant to be a laugh, by the way. I'm a bit older than 24. Wakey.
Oh,
we're
God.
being nice, Penny.
Yeah. We're agreeing with
It's the
you.
filter. It's the filter. But yes, I've been going there since I was about 4 years old, so a long, long time. And for a while, it was almost like a second home because my dad would be there every weekend, and we'd drive over to see him and stuff. Another one that I adored, but I have never really written in depth about because you can't now anyway, is Drakelow tunnels.
Oh yeah, because they've been taken over, haven't they, by someone else?
It's a wine storage now.
Yeah.
Something only a small part of it is a museum, which is such a shame. Probably another one that really sticks in my mind is the school at Hitchin, the one I wrote my most recent book about.
Yeah.
That's one of those places that you could dump me in there at 3 o'clock in the morning and have nobody else around, and I'd be quite happy wandering about the school on my own. There's weird stuff happening all the time there, but it doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me at all. It's got. I feel like it's somewhere I belong, for want of a better word.
That's actually nice when you get those kind of feelings, isn't it? When you're in a location.
I rarely get places where I feel that I'm about to get hurt in. And I've had the odd. There's bits of the school that I feel I'm more welcome in than others, but not in a dangerous sense. I think having quite a heightened awareness of things, which I have, and being quite sensitive to things and picking up on things, even in people that other people haven't picked up on, I'm always on guard. But I don't really think there's anywhere that I've ever been that I've thought, if I don't get out, actually, no, that's a lie. There has been.
Has there? Tell us about it.
Come on, you've got to tell us now.
I will. The Leopard Inn in Burslem, in Stoke.
Oh, right, yes.
Heard of it?
Yeah. Yes, I know which one you mean, yeah.
Well, if you, I don't know if you've heard of it, Jules, the Leopard Inn.
I've heard of it. Yeah.
It's this pub it's what would have been the Market Square in Burslem near Stoke, and in its day, it was quite a rich area with all the pottery and everything else.
Yeah.
And out the back, it's got this huge, and I mean huge, hotel that you would never guess is there, and it's almost through this secret door. And I can't remember how many. There's 3 floors of about 15 rooms on each floor, and it's not derelict, but it's not been kept up. It's kind of, I don't really think much has been done to it since the 1960s. And it's amazing, and you wouldn't guess it was there. If you didn't get shown where the secret door was to it, you wouldn't find it by accident. Honestly,
I wonder why it was built like that. Is there any reason for that?
Well, no, it's just the way it's been converted now as a pub, so that people didn't wander off and go through these. Because it wouldn't be safe for the, unless you'd done a proper health and safety. There's bits of it that you wouldn't want someone walking on certain bits of the floor and everything else. Why it's not used anymore, I don't know. I'm not complaining because it was amazing. But it's like this one door, it just looks like a storage door, and then you go through another one, and then you open this second door, and there's just this giant staircase.
Wow.
And it is like a TARDIS. It genuinely is like a TARDIS. And when I went there with Haunted Houses, Chris Chell's team. And I was there early because Chris had picked me up from the hotel. And he said, just go and explore. And I was like, really? I said, where's the door? And he went, it's right there. And it was like, never would have guessed that. He goes, right. He said, you're quite sensitive to things. He said, there is a part up there that women hate. He said, bear in mind, there's 3 floors. There's a lot of space. Yeah. He said, there was one part on one of those floors that women absolutely hate. See if you can find it.
Okay, that's good. So he didn't tell you where it was?
All I knew, it was in the old hotel bit.
Right.
So I started exploring. And I can't remember where exactly it is, and this is the honest truth, because it's dark, anyway, and I remember walking around this corner and suddenly getting this feeling of, I'm going to get hurt in a minute.
Really?
And so being me, I turned round to whatever was there and said, oh, sorry to interrupt, and went back the other way. When I went to see him, he was like, what do you think? I was like, it's amazing. And I said, well, the only bit I didn't like, and I explained where it was, and he just laughed and he went, that's exactly where it is. Women hate it up there.
You see, there's got to be something in this.
Possibly. But when I was up there with a group, because I knew that bit was going to make me feel uneasy, I'd kind of covered myself in armour, does that make sense? I'd kind of armoured up.
Yeah.
But because I think everyone we had in the group that we were teaching, none of them had done it before. So it was very, and so I said to Chris, look, I'll hang around with these women because they want to go in that room. I know that there's some we know that there's bad juju in there. I'm going to stick with them so that I can kind of protect them, or as a fellow woman.
Yeah.
And I did have to take one of them out because she said, I think I'm going to be sick in a minute. I really feel scared. I feel like I'm being followed. And I took her out of the room and she felt fine. But I could see her whole demeanour change. Now, I could feel it, but I think because I'd armoured up, as I call it, it wasn't able to get through to me.
Yeah.
And it also knew that I wasn't going to take any shit.
Yeah.
But someone naive who didn't know, and she was lovely, she didn't know how to do that.
Yeah.
I don't think it would, and I'll say it's a he, would have actually physically hurt us. I think it was more mental bullying, if that makes sense.
That can be worse, though.
Yes,
but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He wouldn't actually have scratched us or anything like that. I think it would have more been trying to get in your head and coercion and control type thing. But I when I saw her sort of change her whole demeanour, I was like, "Would you like to get out of this room for a minute?"
Yeah,
she went, "No, I'm fine. It's honestly, just step out of this room for a minute. You'll feel different." And she did. So yeah, that's one of the only times I've ever felt genuinely kind of, I need my wits about me here. Not with the dead, anyway. With the living, quite a few times.
Yeah,
Yes.
I would agree with that. I think the living are far more dangerous than the dead, to be
That's what
honest.
I tell people. It's what I tell people when they say, "Aren't you scared about the dead talking to you?" And I'm like, "No." I said, "The living are worse than the dead. Trust me." Yeah. So that's the only time, really, I can honestly say I've had a sense of I'm not safe. But
Yeah. And it's not a nice feeling either.
no.
So
But
is there anywhere sort of you want to venture to that's on your to-do list that you haven't got to yet?
where do I start?
Doesn't have to be in the UK, it can be anywhere in the world.
Well, before COVID hit, I was due to go to Canada to spend some time with my good friend Wes Coleman.
Oh, wonderful.
And we were due to investigate Picton Heights, which was one of the, what would you have called, the Arnold training sites from World War II.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And we were due to, and it was also then a hospital and various other things. We were due to investigate there, so hopefully one day I'll get out to Canada and get to do there. To be honest, I see so many places I think, I wouldn't mind getting, even places that haven't got a story about them.
Yes.
Because I'll sense something from just watching them on telly thinking, that would be a good one. Somewhere like Southall Workhouse. I've had experiences there when I visited there as a spectator, for want of a better term.
Yeah.
So I'd really like to do the workhouse side of things. Where else? I mean, somewhere like the Imperial War Museum in London would be amazing with its history. I mean, for those who don't know, it was actually one of the incarnations of the Bedlam Royal Bethlehem Mental Hospital, which most people don't know. A lot of people don't know. And the only reason I found that out was about 4 or 5 years ago. Someone said to me they'd visited there and they thought they saw someone in like a white nurse's uniform.
Oh, God.
And they went, why would I have seen them? And I was showing pictures. I said, was it like a World War II? No, it was older than that. And that's when I was like, that was Bedlam. That was Bedlam for nearly 100 years. Wow. And
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
Did you not?
No.
I've told you something.
Yeah, I've been there hundreds of bloody times.
Wow.
I didn't even know that. I've heard of Bedlam, obviously, but I didn't realise that any association with the War Museum.
Yeah, it was the from when it would have been about, I can't remember the exact dates, but it was mid 1800s to early 1900s. Yes, before it moved to Kent, where it is now. The Royal Bethlehem is now in Kent. But yes, it was one of the incarnations of the Bedlam. That actual building.
Yeah.
So so somewhere like that. I mean, unfortunately, I don't think they would. I don't have any inclination to do Tower of London or anywhere like that for some reason. Windsor Castle, though. If Windsor Castle ever came knocking, I would be there with bells on. Because I reckon that place has got some amazing stories to tell. And just like a tube station, like some of the disused tube stations, that kind of thing.
That would be amazing, wouldn't it, to get in there?
They're
Yeah, I mean,
fascinating.
one of the mums at my school, she works for the Tube, and she's quite senior, and she's tried really hard to get me permission to go down into one of the disused ones, and they just won't budge. Which is really
What is the reason behind
health
that?
and
Is it health
safety.
and safety?
Yeah.
Which annoys me when I see all these telly programs going down into them and being able to look around them, and I'm like, ah. But yeah, maybe one day, maybe when I am famous with my own TV show, who knows?
Well,
It will come,
it will
Penny.
come, yeah.
It will come. You're on the right road.
You've got to grind away at it, but yeah. Well, I think because what the approach you're taking is so different.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing, but it also appeals to a larger audience. But I say that, but I mean, you look at this is something I'll sort of touch on in a minute with you as well, with regards to other paranormal groups.
Yeah.
The ones that are popular are these bloody annoying ones that are out every night just doing crap most of the time. I'm not going to say any names, but you know exactly who I'm talking about. And to me, it's just a waste of time. But what's more interesting is what you're actually doing with it, which is somehow we've sort of gone along the same route as you, because I've seen what you've done. And I thought I really like that. It's something how I wanted to play it ourselves along a similar sort of theme. So we're not that we're trying to sort of steal your thunder or anything, but we're doing our own version of it. But the good thing is other groups are jumping onto it.
Yeah.
Other people are saying, let's do it like this, rather than, we'll put up a thing saying, scary poltergeist house, and we'll go and break into an abandoned building.
Absolutely.
You know, and just put a load of crap on Facebook. It's so annoying. That's what I find about it.
If people want to explore the history thing, I am more than happy that they're doing that. I mean, I have seen during the lockdown, I saw a couple of paranormal history podcasts start up.
Yeah.
They lasted about 3 months.
Yeah.
Because people don't realise how hard work it is to do. You know, I get told I make it sound easy, but people don't realise the 10 hours worth of research I do for every show, roughly.
Yeah, exactly.
And they also don't realise that I've been presenting since I was in my 20s. It's not as easy to fill the air as it appears.
No, not at all.
And I mean, it's taken me 4 years to get to where I am with my podcast. But the thing is with me, I'm one of those, you know, what's that saying? If you give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. You teach a man to that thing.
Yes.
That's fine. When somebody says to me, how do I look this up? What I'll do is I'll look it up for them and then explain to them what I've done so they can see it and do it themselves next time. Because I'm not one of those people who wants to keep it all to myself, what I discover. I want to share it. I know I've given you sort of ideas of places to look for things and stuff. And that's me. I'd rather be teaching people how to do stuff because someone's taught me some of it's self-taught. But so the more people who realise that history and the paranormal are linked, the better the field will get, the more professional the field will get. I should really have copyrighted it, but
yes.
You never know. You never know.
Indeed.
But it's I mean, I think that the fact that more teams now are saying they've got a historian, although it's questionable whether they are or not in some cases. When you know, Wikipedia, it's great as a resource, but don't trust it 100%.
No.
You know, when I've used terminology with people like primary and secondary sources, and they say they're a historian, and they're going, "What?" You know, there is those sort of, and I sometimes struggle to call myself a historian. I got told once I couldn't call myself a historian because I haven't got a degree.
Doesn't make any difference.
And I had that very same conversation, and it was with a couple of PhDs, and they said, why does that make a difference? You could do one if you wanted to. Yeah, if I had 20 grand, I could.
Yeah.
And I might do one day. But
you'd probably walk through it. You know.
I wouldn't, because I'd be told how I had to write. And I'm not good at being told how to do things.
No.
I'm the same.
So, I mean, somebody said to me once my writing was very slang-like and hearing me speak. And I went, do you not think that's deliberate?
But then it makes it more understandable,
It's
more
a form of
approachable.
expressionism, isn't it?
People have understand. If you're going to be dry and really boring about it, people are going to pick it up and go, I'm not interested in that.
Exactly.
But if you sort of fill it full of buzzwords that they understand, make it sort of grab them and say, well, this is what it's like, this is what it is, and you're thinking, yeah, this is really cool, I'm going to carry on reading that.
Absolutely.
The biggest compliment I've got about my writing was somebody, I can't can't remember who it was. It could even have been Lorien or Chris Chell or one of those. So when they read it, they were reading it in my voice because they could hear my sarcasm coming through with some of the comments.
Yeah.
That's what I want, because
But that engages people, doesn't it?
I think so. I hope so, because if I'm writing for somebody else, so if I'm in effect ghostwriting, which I've done, I try not to put my stamp on it too much. When I'm writing mine, it's Penny Griffiths-Morgan they're reading. It's not...
Exactly. It's your stamp, yeah.
Yeah. So I can write in a different way. I just can't be bothered if it's my stuff that I'm doing.
Well, no, but it is you, isn't it?
It's tailoring it as well to, I mean, any writer knows that when you do write, you have to tailor your writing to the audience as well. And if your audience is reacting to the way that you're writing and they're interested in the way that you're coming across, why the hell should you change it?
Yeah.
If it works, it works.
Stick with it.
And I have to say, Penny, I think it bloody well works. I think it's very, very good what you do.
Thank you.
I mean, I'm impressed.
Thank you. That means a lot.
I really do. I think it's fab. So on the basis of that, because, you know, you do a lot of researching, you do podcasting, you know, we've talked about your writing, your book writing as well. What tips would you give someone that really would like to get into those areas and start from nothing? What advice would you give?
Don't do it all at once. Don't try and do it all at once.
Yeah.
Because although the research can cross-reference into the different areas, if you tried doing it all in one go, you'd burn out straight away. I mean, I started off podcasting once a week and doing a blog once a month. Then when I discovered that the writing actually had more legs than originally I thought, the podcasting went down to fortnightly, because you physically can't do it and have a life and have a day job. And you know, you mentioned I was a strong mother. I have got kids. I've got a husband. I've got a life.
Exactly.
And as much as I enjoyed disappearing down the research rabbit warren, there has been occasions when I've been down the records office and I said I'll be a couple of hours, and 6 hours later the husband texts me and says, "Are you actually coming home today?" You know, that happens.
It's easily done.
So I would pick which one of those you feel most comfortable starting with, and then find the subject matter that makes you go, "Oh yeah." I mean, I know I've mentioned Lorien a lot because it's fresh in my mind because we only spoke this week. But she said that during lockdown, she was trying to think of an area to specialise in. And the first, she thought, well, I won't do workhouses because that's Penny's gig. And she goes, what's another thing I find fascinating? Pubs, the history of pubs. And that's why she's gone down that avenue. So find something that enthralls you. You know, if it's Victorian prostitution, whatever makes you go, I want to read and read and read and learn every single thing I can.
Yeah.
It's got to be that kind of subject. But because what you then find is things branch off. Like, I try and do a couple of articles a day on my Facebook page so that people have something different to read, whether it be haunted, whether it be history, whether it be a mixture of the two, whether it just be something really interesting that I've read somewhere. And this week I was doing quite a lot, it seemed, on Hollywood, because it was the anniversary.
Yes, I saw that.
Yeah, it was the anniversary of the amazing Bette Davis this week.
Yeah.
And what happens is I don't always plan that. I sometimes start off. This is how I sometimes do my articles. This is as simple as that. What happened this day in history? Get a load of list of things come up. Oh, Bette Davis' anniversary. Cool. I'll put that on there because I can talk a bit about her and Joan Crawford and how they hated each other and everything else. Interesting. And then I was just Googling to check a few details about Bette Davis, and something else popped up that was quite interesting. I thought, that's another article. Write that down. Oh, Ciro's nightclub. One of the most haunted locations. Now the comedy club. Note that down. Oh, there was a gangster killed there to do with, I think it was Lara Turner. Might write a bit about there as well. And that's how it happens. You literally these things just branch off. The article I put up about that little girl who was drowned, that was because I was looking for something else. I was researching for something else, and I found that article, and I thought, that'd be an interesting one to put on the page because it's not very pleasant.
It's a sad story, that one.
It was very. But then I thought, well, I'm not just going to put the article up. I'm going to see if they found a killer. I'm going to see what happened to the killer. Who was she? And so, yeah, you do find you're just questioning and questioning and questioning, but you find so much material. So, and it can get a bit overwhelming when you first start. So my tip would be find a subject you love.
Yeah.
And then research it, whether you're going to write about it, whether you're going to do like the great videos that you guys do, whether you're going to do a podcast on it and specialise in that subject or start off with that subject. But find something that you can be genuine about. That's the main thing I would say. Yeah. Don't try and do what you think people are going to like, because I've made that mistake and it's very hard.
It doesn't work, does it, Penny?
Do what you enjoy.
You can't people please. You have to do
you resent it. You resent doing all that work on a subject that you're not really that enamoured.
I'm very bad at doing that.
But now
I flip from one thing to another, thinking, "Oh, people are going to like this, people are going to like that." But really, if I'd stuck at one thing,
just do what you like. Because when it's something that you like, there will be at least one other person.
Yes,
believe it or not,
absolutely.
There will be at least one other person. And then when people realise you're actually quite good at it, and your energy is there, and the word will get out. It's a slower burner than doing something that's kind of more revealing, shall we say?
Well, sir.
No, you know what I'm getting at with that. We're not mentioning groups, and we don't do the things that are so revealing out in the first instance. You know, those kind of projects.
Yeah.
But you know, do what works for you. And if you do what works for you, that enthusiasm comes across. That's what's infectious. And that normally is what makes you do a good job. And that's what gets people interested, if that's what your goal is. If you just want to do it for yourself, do it for yourself. You don't always need an audience.
You really don't, no.
I mean, I do, because I've got an ego that needs massaging constantly. But
I've got one of those, yeah.
I'm a Leo. I can't help it. I need an audience.
Oh, what are you?
Taurus.
Oh, the
Bull
bull
in a china shop.
I'm the crab.
Yeah. He's crabby.
I can be. I try not to be, but I can be.
Yeah, you can be, yeah.
So, Nigel, you wanted to talk to Penny about, because you've basically read all of Penny's books today, haven't you?
I have.
So
read all of your books, all 3 books. I've got all 3 of them.
So, you know, you were talking to me about a haunted experiment.
Yeah, I really liked your haunted experiment book. I have to say, that's one I can pick up, and it relates to me, because I can look at it and think, that's really good. I could try that. I could do this. I could do that. So I'm looking at the question. What did I write? So if you go out on investigation, do you have a set series of experiments that you run? Do you research it all beforehand, or do you just see what happens on the night?
See what happens on the night.
Ah.
When I go somewhere, if it's researching for something specific, I'll have a bit of an idea about the location anyway.
Yeah.
So I'll know things like when it was built, what it was used for. But then it's kind of we'll see what happens. I've been places where the technical gadgets, if you like, the REM pods and the spirit boxes and stuff, do diddly, yet the Ouija board goes nuts. Table tipping goes nuts. Yet I've been other places where that side of things is quite dry, yet you've got full-blown conversations going on through a spirit box or an Alice box or whatever. So I tend to go with, okay, well, a bit like the blog I released recently, I don't have any expectations of what I'm going to find. I also don't have any expectations of how I'm going to conduct the evening. It's literally a let's suck it and see kind of thing. Yeah. Go with the equipment, go with what I'd call old-fashioned stuff like a compass and things like that. Go with the more modern stuff and then see what works.
Brilliant. Exactly, because we do that, don't we?
We do, yeah.
We've got all that stuff.
We've got loads of old school stuff.
Compass, powder, talc, anything like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I rarely go with talc and stuff because the places I go, I won't be able to clear it up.
Good point.
Yeah.
But, you know, I've done the whole... I think it was Richard Estep who said this. He said, when you feel a draft, just hold a piece of paper up. If it's moving. Little things like that you can do. There's one that you can use foil. Like instead of talcum powder, put some foil down and see if anything appears in it.
Yeah.
You know, at the British school, they've got this... Because when they used to learn to write, they'd do it in sand. So they'd form their letters because it was cheap.
Yeah.
They've got in effect a sandbox in the big hall, the monitorial classroom. I was there, I think it was Mark Williams. I was there during the day, I was doing book sales. And he went, have you played with this sand? And I haven't touched it. And he goes, there's a letter in it. And there was the formation of a letter A in it. And it had been cleaned. There'd been nobody else in there. So even simple things like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, if I was in a school, I might cater it to more scholarly type things. Like we'll read from a book, or we'll pretend to be misbehaving, or... and I don't like this word, but I've used it, suggested someone wore a dunce's hat before and sat in the corner to see, like, to provoke a reaction, a trigger type experiment. When I've gone to sort of 40s airfield, gone with 40s music loaded up to play. So that's kind of the sort of pre-planning I'll do. But once I'm there, it's like, right, what do I think is going to work? What shall I try? And then go from there. So, no, I don't plan experiments. I don't plan to that extent. I'll just plan to have lots of different variables so that if one thing doesn't appear to be catching at that point, try something else.
Yeah, you're prepared for any eventuality. Yeah.
Because it can also change so very, very quickly, can't it, as well? You know, the environment, you 1 minute you can walk into somewhere and it feels incredibly calm.
Yeah.
And then it can change. I mean, it's happened to us, isn't it, on a couple of occasions. It can completely change. And then obviously you need to think about a different way to investigate.
Yes, what we're going to do
and
with
try
it now.
different things. And you don't have to spend a fortune to investigate. You don't have to spend thousands on cameras and this and that. It's nice to do it. You don't have to, because as you say, Penny, tinfoil, paper, things like that, you can tell so much. Compass, from the very, very basic things that, you know, you can take along.
I mean,
that's fantastic.
I would like a full spectrum camera. That is one of my things I would like to get at some point.
Yeah.
But I'm going to see if my wizard of a dad can turn one into a full spectrum for me, because there's a lens in it. If you take this bit of the lens out.
Yeah, you take the IR filter off of it.
Is that what it is?
Do.
Oh, can you do it then, Nigel?
No.
Oh.
I've had a go and I've killed 2 cameras trying to have a go at it.
I completely demolished 2 cheap sort of second-hand cameras by doing it, but I thought I wouldn't go for an expensive like Canon or something straight away, so I bought 2 like cheapy ones off eBay for $5 each and tried it with those and completely killed them. So I would like to have a full spectrum camera at some point. That's one of my goals, but other than that, I mean, it'd be lovely to have cameras and all, like video cameras in all the room, lots of cameras everywhere, and all of that sort of thing. But I'm not at that stage, and that's not my forte. Tech isn't my forte. The history is my forte.
Yeah, play to your goals, don't you?
Yeah, empathising with the vibe of the room is my forte. I mean, the fact that put me on anywhere military and something will happen. I still don't know why that is. I still don't know why I'm a military magnet. Exactly. Yeah. I still don't know why I'm a magnet for it, but I am.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
And then have you got into your family tree and looked into that?
Yeah.
Or have you sort of considered regression or anything like that?
I've wondered, because how much I love aeroplanes, and especially World War II aircraft. I have wondered that maybe in a past life I had something to do with it. I don't know. Maybe that's why I'm infatuated with the workhouse. Maybe I had something to do with that as well. I do believe in that.
It makes you wonder.
Yeah, and also when I was young, people used to say, oh gosh, you're a lot older than you are, aren't you? And as I sort of learned about it, before I got into all of this, when I was just reading it, saying that the old head on young shoulders is sometimes because you've been reincarnated quite a lot of times and you've got a lot of knowledge in there, you just don't realise it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that would explain why you can meet someone of 10 who talks like they're 45. You know what I mean? They've got that kind of take on life. Yeah. But no, I have got military links in my family, but none that would, the most interesting one I found was would have been my great granddad on my dad's mum's side. I remember a couple of years ago at Christmas, we were looking through some old photos, and I was like, "Who's this?" And my dad goes, "I don't know. They're in Nan's photos. I don't know who they are." And I said, "Well, that's a World War I uniform. You told me we didn't have anyone in World War I because all the family, both my parents' side, were in reserved occupations." And he went, "I don't know who it is." And I started looking into it and discovered it was his grandfather, my great-grandfather, Donald. Yeah. And my dad didn't know that. He didn't know Donald was World War I. And so he started, because he's a researcher, the same as I am. And he started looking into it and found all this information out, found where Donald lived, found a load of relatives he didn't know of up in North Yorkshire. And he knew he was a Yorkshire boy because he's always known that, but he didn't know about these ones. And we discovered that Donald had, I think it was 4 brothers. All 5 of them went away to war. The youngest being 14 and a half.
Wow.
All 5 of them came home.
That's quite remarkable,
That's
actually.
really
Yeah, it's not often
unusual.
you would get that. You often get families would lose 1, 2, even 3. Well, they could have lost all 5.
All of the sons came home. I'm not saying they were all completely uninjured. I mean, Donald was for a start. But they all made it back. And now Donald went out in, I think it was 1914. He went out early doors.
Wow.
I think one of his older brothers did as well. But all 5 of them fought in the First World War, actively fought. And all 5 of them came home. So I have got those, but that's the only... I mean, and both my grandfathers were RAF. But I don't know the military link. I don't know why I've always...
That's really interesting.
One theory that's been given to me is because I enjoy studying the military side, is that these spirits know that if they put an image in my head, I'm going to understand it.
Yeah.
That could be it. I don't know. But it is strong, and it is a standing joke with people that you take me to somewhere that's got a military link and things will kick off, and they do.
Well, they do. I mean, as you say, I think you're absolutely right. If you've got a little bit of interest or knowledge in it, it's almost like they know and they're drawn to that. They're drawn to you, and they perhaps know, that obviously you're present, and they will. It always fascinates me how they know that we are in tune with them. I mean, that's the thing that fascinates me. Why they're drawn to us. What do they know about us, and how? Do we give off some kind of signal that we're sensitive, that they're drawn to, and they know? Because they do seem to draw themselves in to people that are spiritual or psychic or whatever.
It could be no different, though, to when you, I don't mean attracted in a sexual sense, but when you meet someone that you just feel a sudden with.
Yeah.
It could be as simple as that, and we don't know why that happens. I mean, I've had it when I've met someone who I've never met before, and I've just all of a sudden thought, you're going to become one of my closest friends, and they have.
Yeah. Well, I was like that with you, wasn't I?
Yeah.
We just get on so well.
Yeah.
So well.
It's really
It could be a
odd.
similar thing. It could be almost like, not animal magnetism, but I don't know. But, I also seem to get the youngsters, the young military ones, and they're always cheeky. I have had my bum pinched on more times than I care to remember. When we were at Tibbenham, we were playing some 40s music, and I said, does anyone want to dance? And my arm got grabbed, and the other 3 saw a depression in my coat.
Really?
Oh,
Yeah.
Great.
And I was like, and Wayne's like, it's fine, you can dance. You know what I mean? It's kind of, so, yeah, I don't know why. Whether it's the blonde hair, whether it's the fact that I can be quite cheeky when I want to be. I don't know. But I do have communicated with sort of senior officers, but it tends to be the younger ones. It tends to be the cheekier ones. It tends to be the
cheeky chappies.
Yeah.
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 Wow. Brilliant.
So, we've talked about investigating and things like that. Is there anything you want to add, Nige? Because
I know. Well, I let you loose on it, really, because she's good at this sort of thing. Whereas I'm sort of, I really don't know what to say, and I'll just speak a load of old nonsense. That's what I'm very good at. But
say.
yeah, I don't know.
Anything you want to ask Penny?
Have we covered everything? Not really. I think we just covered it all, really. Thank you very much.
It's been fascinating.
It's been brilliant.
A little bit of insight into Penny and her works and what she does. And we're very, very much looking forward to the future and looking forward to your new stuff that's coming out. It's all very exciting.
And
I've even got books 5 and 6 being planned out as well. So
have you?
Yes.
Gosh,
and at some
I don't know how you
stage,
do it.
we're hoping we're going to work with you at some stage in the future as well.
Yes.
That would be
Definitely.
lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you've got that. I've given you one. I've sorted out the 2 locations. You've got to sort out the 3rd. Remember?
Got to try to get the 3rd one, yeah, which is the real nuisance.
Yeah, we're gonna pimp
Oh,
Jules
right.
out for that one.
Oh, I tried that one, didn't
She
I?
nearly got us into Old Buckingham.
Yeah, we're going to keep pimping you
so
out
close.
with that lovely blonde hair, Jules.
Yeah. It was. He was more interested in a date than anything else, wasn't he?
That was the problem.
If it works, you know, take one for the team, girl.
I did consider it, but I thought that was a bit mean. I thought, do I do it? I ummed and ahed, and I thought, that's mean.
Whatever.
I say my dad's
Yes.
trying as well for us because he was so impressed with what I got at Tibenham. He thinks it's a great idea. So, yeah, it's if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. But we are going to be meeting up in December, aren't we, at Wyndham?
We are indeed, yes.
Centre,
Up at
which we're really
Wyndham.
looking forward to.
Yeah.
So yes, and my husband's going to be there. Mark Dudley's going to be there.
Wonderful.
It's going to be a little crew of us getting back together again.
Our own little gang. That'd be quite good,
So
wouldn't
nice.
it? Yeah. Fantastic.
Yes, I'll tell you this. I don't know if you know, but Mark is very tall.
Is he? How tall is Mark?
6'2", I reckon. 6'1",
Gosh.
6'2".
You see, I'm quite short, Penny.
So am I. I'm 5'2".
Oh, are you? I'm
Yeah.
about 5'3".
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
A little
Diddy.
bit.
I'm Diddy. That's why Lorian teases me, because she's about 5'10". And
wow.
when she teases me about bumping her head on beams in pubs, I was like, I've never had that problem. In fact, I quite like it when the beam's that low, like I bump my head. It's like, yes, I would have been tall then.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to
very
chat to
welcome.
us tonight. We
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it.
You're welcome.
First time we've ever had a guest on here, and really grateful that we had such a really good guest on here to
Yeah.
start with. So, yeah, we're going to be hard pressed to actually better you, I think.
Which email address do you want me to send the invoice to?
Well, yeah.
Let's hope we don't have any technicalities with that.
You can send it. You can send it to the out there one off the website. And next time, I'm just going to keep it simple and not be bloody clever.
Yeah. Sometimes simple's the best way.
Yeah.
Kiss, baby, kiss. Keep it
Yes,
simple, stupid.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Thanks a lot, mate.
Thank
You're
you.
very welcome.
Penny.
We'll say goodbye, and we'll see you in December.
Yeah.
You
Take
Okay,
care.
Take care now.
Bye.
Bye.